Right? Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. Give double honor to the apostles of GreatMillstone that rule well. Salutations to the men of the hopeful elect. It's Makazar from return.com just to do a little edification. Alright? Watching the videos with the apostles did with the tree of life and the tree of death. I just wanted to do a little edification based on it. Alright, or response video if you want to call it that way. Alright, because they was talking about the tree of life and then they was talking about the serpent, but I want to go a little into the serpent to show that it was no snake that talked to Eve. Alright, the apostles said that was a man, alright, which really was the son of the wicked, which really was Esau in another flesh. Alright, and I just want to back him up on that. Alright, because guess what? Snakes don't talk. Alright, the scripture says the wicked are like a deaf adder, they're like a serpent. Just like the scriptures call the Lord called the Pharisees a den of vipers. Alright, so like the apostle Gabal said, guess what? The scriptures are allegorical. It's just a matter of speech. Just like the rib. The rib don't literally mean a rib was taken out of Adam. It's just a figure of speech. Alright? Just like nowadays we say that is my blood. That's my blood. We're just saying close relatives. So it's just a figure of speech. Alright? So let me get into the scripture. This is Genesis chapter 3 verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh had made. Alright? And he said unto the woman, Yea, had Yahweh said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Yahweh had said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Alright, so this tree of the garden, as the apostle said, was what the other nations will the Lord tell them basically have no dealings with. Alright, basically Lord tell them have no dealings with that nation, because why? When you go and you get into the doctrine of those nations, guess what? You're gonna stray from the Lord. Alright, it says, and the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for Yahweh doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Alright? So he said what? The serpent said that when you eat, you will know good and evil. Alright? Let me look up that word knowing. Alright? Let me look up that word knowing. Come from the Hebrew, yadai. Alright? Says what? To know, to learn, to perceive and see, to find out and discern. And guess what? One of the other words for learn is lamad. I believe lamad go back to serpent also. Alright? So the serpent was a learned one. He had knowledge, but on the left hand side. Alright? He had to have what? To have knowledge, to be wise. So basically the serpent is saying, if you want to eat of this doctrine, you become wise like the Lord, knowing both good and evil. Alright? So that word no, go back to the Hebrew word yadai. Alright? Have this here real quick. This 1 Samuel chapter 28 verse 7. Then said Saul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that had a familiar spirit. Because why? The familiar spirit what? Knows things of the unknown. So seek a woman which have familiar spirits, just like the serpent, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said unto him, Behold, there is a woman that had a familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment, and he went, and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit. and bring me up, whom I shall name unto thee. So just like this woman have a familiar spirit where she knows things through the spirit, it's the same thing with the serpent. Alright, so just like Saul went to inquire the woman, Eve inquired of the serpent and learned things that she not supposed to know, went into doctrine that she not supposed to, basically going against Yahweh Shemiah's commandment. And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest that what Saul had done, how he had cut off those that have familiar spirits and the wizards of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life, to cause me to die? Then Saul sware to her by Yahweh, saying, As Yahweh liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. Alright, so how does woman know that? Because why? Because she was dealing with familiar spirits. So just like when you look up the word to know, means to understand, to perceive, but she know things through an unclean spirit. Alright, just like the Lord said, what? Suffer not a witch to live. And you're not supposed to go on to witches and wizards and people that have unfamiliar spirit. It's the same commandment the Lord gave Adam and Eve. Don't eat of that tree. Right now, Saul eating of that tree. Alright, because he want to inquire things. The scripture says that your eyes shall be open when you eat from that tree. So right now, Saul eye opening. Because why? He gonna understand things that are yet to come. Because why? He inquiring about witch that have a familiar spirit. Right? And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto him, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. Her eye was open, so she opening Saul's eye right now. Alright? But basically, that is just the point I want you to bring. Because when you go further on, Samuel basically gonna tell Saul that the same day he gonna die, him and his son. Alright? So he understood, he knew things through an unclean spirit. Alright? He knew things through an unclean spirit. And all basically Israel went off doing that. There is Isaiah 47 verse 11. Therefore evil shall come unto thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it ariseth. And mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, going way back into the Garden of Eden. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Eve had a counsel with the serpent. Saul had a counsel with the witch. Let now the astrologers and the stargazers and the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things which shall come upon thee. Because basically all knowledge is from the Most High. So if the Lord don't give the angels on the left hand side order to fortune tell anything, guess what? They can't. Alright, so you look up this word prognosticators. Right? Prognosticators goes back to what? It's the same word again, same Hebrew word, yadai. Which basically what means? To know, to learn, to know how, to perceive. So it's basically the same word as what? When the scripture said it shall know good and evil. Alright? So the prognosticators was what? Somebody just like the witch, somebody who know, and somebody like the serpent who know both good and evil, who know things on the left hand side, who could divine through unclean spirits. Alright? Basically, who will teach them things in their mind might be amazing, things that they're unfamiliar with. Alright? The scripture said all bread is sweet unto the adulterer, unto a whoremonger. So basically, things that you're not supposed to go on to, it's sweet unto you because you don't know it. Alright? And the Lord said, don't deal up in these things. And that is what Israel was doing. Going off with familiar spirits. Alright, worshiping other gods, going into other doctrines. Alright? And hey, we have men doing it right now. Men teaching that you're not supposed to worship Yahweh Shai. That is going into other doctrines. That is eating of other trees. Alright? Teaching that the elect tied up under the pyramids. Teaching that Cornelius is not Israelite. That is eating of the tree of death. Alright? Still doing it unto this day. But men of GMS eating of that tree of life. Alright? Men of GMS eating of that tree of life. Alright? Go back to Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. Why more subtle? Because why? He understood things. He was wise and cunning and understood things on the left hand and things on the right hand. That is why he was more subtle. And just his speech, scripture says, by fierce speech deceiving the heart of the simple. And that is what happened to Eve. Alright? Now when you look up this word serpent, look up the word serpent. Alright? Serpent come from the Hebrew word nakash. Right? Slack here. Let's go back a little bit. Press a button by mistake. Alright. It says what? Nakash. Which is what? Serpent, snake, serpent, image of serpent, fleeing serpent, mythology. So now people might say, well, yeah, that is what the serpent means. Serpent is just an average snake. But when you go up here into the root etymology, look, the word is nakash, but the etymology is the same word, nakash. So the so-called white man did, he tried to hide the true meaning of the word nakash. Now look at the true meaning of the word nakash. Alright? Alright? Look at the true meaning of the word nakash. Enchantment, divine, enchanter. Indeed, certainly, learn by experience, diligently observe. To practice divination, divine, observe signs, learn by experience, just like the serpent, just like the witch of Endor, just like what Israel was doing in Isaiah 47. Diligently observe, practice fortune telling, your stargazers, your astrologers, your monthly prognosticators. Take as an omen to practice divination, to observe signs or omen. Alright? So the serpent was actually a man that knew divination, fortune telling, who knew things on the left hand side. So the serpent wasn't a snake, was actually a man, was another nation that was actually practicing witchcraft. So according to Ecclesiastes 1:9, there is no new thing under the sun. It was always there. It was always there. Alright? It was always there. So it was always going into witchcraft. So the serpent was actually a man of another nation or another nation teaching witchcraft, what the Lord told them not to deal up with. Alright? This is, it's Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 1. When Yahweh thy God shall bring thee into the land, whither thou goest to possess it, and has cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou, which dwell in where? In Jerusalem, which Jerusalem is what? The Garden of Eden. So the same place where the Lord placed Adam and his wife and told them not to eat of the trees that are around they could eat except the tree in the midst of the garden. Alright? So the tree of knowledge of good and evil was dwelling nearby to Adam and Eve. Just like these nations here, these were the neighbors of Israel. When they now entered into the land, they were dwelling in the land of Jerusalem, which was then called Canaan. Alright? So these are the trees of the knowledge of good and evil during the time that Israel went into Israel. Alright? It says, when Yahweh thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his sons, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy son from following me, and that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly. So basically the same thing the Lord giving Israel a command, just like he gave Adam and Eve. Tell them, hey, don't eat of these trees, which Apostle Gabbai even said the trees represent other nations. So in this verse, the Lord didn't call them trees, the Lord called them nations. So the Lord saying, don't eat of these nations. Alright? Don't eat the fruit of these nations, because it will cause your heart to stray. Just like with Adam and Eve, cause the heart to stray. Alright? Cause the heart to stray. Alright? Here it says what? Jumping down. Genesis 3:6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, because why? She went into it and she saw new things that she probably didn't understand, and she understand now through the serpent, which is on the left hand side. Alright? And that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. To make one wise. Just like what Samuel did with even Isaiah 47, when they go to where is it? Prognosticators. So that to make one wise. Look up the word prognosticators. Let me look up the word. Come from the Hebrew word yadai, which means what? Alright? Says what? To know, to learn. Alright? So basically to make you wise. Look, to have knowledge, to be wise. Your prognosticators. So dealing with things on the left hand side, you become wise in what? In evil. Knowing more things. Just like now. It's have certain like witches. They some people might go to a witch, or they call them seers down here. You go to them and they might tell you if somebody in your family doing something against you, if somebody, somebody who stole something from you, they could tell you who did it. That is how because why? They wise to the left hand side. Alright? So you can know things that the Lord hid from you through the left hand side. Alright? But through unclean spirits. And that is what Eve dealt with. Alright? Said what? It's evil to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof, she went and learned the knowledge, and did eat. Alright? She did eat. Alright? And to show that it's not only trees. To show it's not only trees. Just bear me 1 second. There's it's 15, 16. Alright. This is Jeremiah 15 verse 16. Thy words were found, and I did eat them, and thy word was unto me the joy and the rejoicing of the heart. For I am called by thy name, O Yahweh, God of hosts. So guess what? Thy words were found, and I did eat them. So Eve found the words, the doctrines of the tree of life, tree of good and evil, and she did eat them, and it was a joy of heart and a rejoicing. Because why? Because she enjoyed what she learned. Alright? And the eyes of both of them were opened. Just like with Elijah's eyes was open, and he prayed to Yahweh to open the eyes of Elisha. But the Most High had to open your eyes. You can't go and open your eyes on the left hand side. You can't go and use familiar spirits to open your eyes. The Lord Yahweh Shai had to do that. And right now the Lord doing it. Just like the apostles said that we eating of the tree of life right now. Right now our eyes opening to understand this word. Alright? The scripture says, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Right now, that one eye opening, so we understanding the dark mysteries, the deep dark sayings of the Lord. But the Most High have to do that. You can't go to familiar spirits to know that. Alright? So, alright, I have one more scripture here. This is Revelation 18 verse 21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. So Babylon is the whole that sitteth upon many nations, which is America. Alright? And jumping down. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For by thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Alright? You look up that word sorceries. Alright? Alright, it says what? Sorcery, witchcraft. Alright, by use of administering drugs, poisoning, sorcery, magical arts, often found in connection with idolatry and fostered by it. Alright, the deceptions and seductions of idolatry. Alright, so guess what? America's doctrines like Christmas, and all these doctrines pushing this white God, this faggotage Jesus. Alright, that is going back to what? To sorcery, to witchcraft. Alright, so it's the same thing they're doing now, what they did back then. It's the same spirit, which America is basically what? Run by the so-called white man. So the so-called white man is that same old serpent. That same old serpent that pushing the same doctrine on the world. And it's the same serpent the Lord cursed back in the garden. He said, upon your belly you will crawl. And that is what happened to the so-called white man, was the basis of men, according to Job 30. Alright? So the serpent back then, we don't know what nation the Lord called them, but right now they're being called the so-called white man, Edomites, according to the scriptures. Alright? Adawamyam. Alright? So basically that is basically what I wanted to go through, showing that the serpent was actually a man. Alright? Was actually a nation, and not a crawling snake. Alright, so and I hope it was edifying and, how to say, satisfying to the tongue, and a joy of heart as the tree. Alright, so with that, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone that rule well. Salutations to the men of the hopeful and sincere elect. Shalom.